Greetings, happy Wednesday to you everyone. Hope you're having a great day. And again, as always, I hope you're having a great training day. Get started right. Anyway, maybe you'll end up good. Okay, yesterday I talked about safety signal hypothesis. And I kind of want to go a little deeper into what is one of the downsides, if there is any, of safety signal hypothesis. So again, in review, what is safety signal hypothesis? That is where an animal can predict a threat because it is signaled by a cue. And the absence of the threat signal comes to predict then the absence of danger. Meaning, I can relax. If I don't get a threat signal, I can relax. I can relax today, tomorrow, maybe for the next year, because I never hear a threat signal or I never receive one until next time I get one, all's good. Okay, however, when aversive events are not signaled, in other words, now all of a sudden I don't have predictability because no one's going to signal them, they just come anyway, then the periods of safety are not signaled, meaning I don't have any safety. So all that being said, giving your animal warning like no, leave it, stop, whatever you do before you correct it, gives the animal all of that sense of safety, calmness. I can relax until I hear that. And if I hear that, then through proper training, the dog learns, hey, if I respond a certain way, I can avoid that threat coming right behind that thing and possibly just get a reward out of this. This whole thing will just work out really good for me. But when you go no and press the button on a remote collar, no and snap that leash and leave it and snap the leash at the same time, well, the threat signal arrived at the exact same darn time as the correction. And therefore, there's no predictability. It's just an auditory correction at that point there. It's just another form of a correction. And hence, when aversive events are not signaled, they're unpredictable. And the periods of safety are also not signaled. So I can't relax. I just constantly on edge here going, man, when am I going to get corrected? When am I going to get corrected? I don't even know what to do. And again, you can find yourself like in an office setting or in a big social group at some point, and you can probably relate to that. People who are extremely unpredictable, it's kind of going, okay, even if I don't like the person, at least they're very predictable, and I can choose to avoid interacting with them during certain times when I get that threat signal. Okay, so that's all safety signal hypothesis. However, and all of that is supposed to just give your dog control, and control will always lower the stress response. When you feel like you're in control of something, no matter what you're going through, you're just going to feel better. Your body will react from a physiological standpoint, go fight really strong for that allostasis, and just kind of make you be okay. Be okay. Okay, but here's a big difference. And here's something that we have to be careful of. And this really pertains mostly to reactive dogs. And when I say reactive, I'm saying more aggressive. They discern that unfamiliar people or unfamiliar dogs or a combination thereof or some unfamiliar events have led them to react aggressively under those situations. Now, when that happens, again, we have basically three different emotional states. Making it real simple here. We have a calm zone. Your animal's calm. There's nothing going on. There's no unfamiliar person. There's no unfamiliar dog. We're going out for a walk. Wow, I'm enjoying my walk. However, here comes someone. And now the dog sees them, probably through search image formation. I can make out what an unfamiliar human looks like at 100 yards. And now the dog starts to climb up into the arousal column, which means that is your stress response being mobilized. Heart rate goes up, oxygen goes with it, glucose to stoke those muscles you may need to deal with that approaching threat. And as the thing gets closer to you, more than likely it's going to drive the animal further and further up, right in direct towards this panic reactive zone. Now, you see this about to unfold. You're watching your dog. You see, here we go. And because your dog has acted like this in the past, and you've been doing some training to deal with it, to disrupt this behavior, to deactivate it, you're on guard. You are ready at a moment's notice. You're ready to hit that remote collar button in a second. You're ready to give that release correction in a second. You are on guard. Here we go. Well, next thing you know, the dog does react. And when the dog reacts, you reach over there, and let me just pull one out, and you fire off the button on your remote collar, and you go, no. That's incorrect. Because, again, that threat signal, that note from you, arrived at the exact same time as the haptic signal from the remote collar. It'd be no different if the dog was on the leash. And I don't care what the leash is attached to. I don't care if it's attached to a harness, collar. I'm not getting into that. It's you physically giving the dog a correction at that moment. Now, granted, when you do give the dog a correction, let's say, for example, the dog is climbing up here rapidly. Okay, let's call it a level 8 situation for the dog. Level 8. You're getting a level 8 response from your dog. For your correction to disrupt this. Again, there are medications that can disrupt this. Panacolytic benzodiazepines. Things like gabapentin can keep the dog so low, it's so driven so deep down in his calm zone, it can't even get up to level 8. There are things that you can do to chemically disrupt this type of response, but I'm going to ignore those for now because I'll be doing an entire Facebook Live series on those. I'm just talking about your dog's not on any medicine, not on any CBD, and you are now, from a training standpoint, trying to disrupt this behavior. For you to disrupt your training, your leash correction, or the remote collar, for them to be effective at this moment, they must find themselves higher than the provocative stimulus. So if level 8 is causing your dog to suddenly lunge, just reach out and growl, and you want to make that go away, you must at a minimum go to a level 9. Whatever that is. That's called prioritization. And animals do that instantly without even a thought. They prioritize their response to a signal. If your signal is not higher than the provocative stimuli signal, you will not disrupt the behavior. You will not. Fear, and that's the reason why the dog's acting out, will trump your signal. So I get it. In the cases here that a lot of people will take their remote collars and they learn, okay, if I go to level 50 out of 100, that will disrupt the behavior. It shuts the dog down. Got it. Or if I give my personal level 3 yank on this leash, that will immediately stop the dog's undesired behavior, promote the desired behavior, and it gets the job done. Good. But, here's the big but. Back over here. Let me just draw a whole new little one so you guys can see it here. Okay, got the calm zone. Make sure you guys can see it. Okay, arousal zone and panic reactive zone. Okay, your dog was driven up to about right here for a level 8. You came in with a level 9 correction. That level 9 correction is going to automatically adjust the dog straight up to a level 9. It just happens that way. Because that thing came in, had much more oomph, meaning to your dog, than the provocative stimuli that I'm reacting to. So the dog is driven from an 8 to a 9 via the correction. However, the end results are desired. But here's the problem. When that happens, if it happens to you, if it happens to your dog, there's this thing called decay. Decay. Because once you're here, your body, again, is always fighting for the set point. Homeostasis, allostasis, always fighting for it. Always wants to be balanced, constantly balanced. Never wants to be imbalanced in any sort of a way. That's why you sweat. That's why you get goosebumps. That's why so many things happen. Your body is continually fighting for that perfect temperature, that perfect chemical balance, that perfect amount of glucose, glucocorticoids. Everything in your system is fighting constantly for that. And its attempt to return back to that land, because it left that land, it went up to level 9 land, your body will start to decay, meaning it wants to go back down. So while that's happening, so again, there's this thing called decay. And then there's this thing called your baseline. Right there. See it? Okay. While you're spiraling down towards the calm zone, until you get to your calm zone, a level 1 event, a level 1 that would have never sent you way up the arousal column, can and often does. So until you get down here at level 1, man, and up you go again. You know, I always love to use the example, you know, you're sitting there camped out at your house watching something on Netflix or whatever, and you hear what you believe is someone kicking in your back door. Okay, well, you just left your calm zone, shot straight up to your arousal column, and you go down the hallway with your blood surging through your body with glucose. Your cognition is immediately enhanced. Your eyes are dilated. Your senses are on full alert. You are ready to take on that bad guy should there be a bad guy. But then there's no bad guy. And you check the door and you think, okay, it must have just been the wind. So you go back and have a seat. Well, I'm telling you what, for about the next 20 minutes, anything out of the ordinary, a limb landing on your roof, someone opening up a soda pop 100 yards away, you're going to be aware of it. You're going to go, maybe there is someone trying to break into my house. You guys know what I'm talking about. Go up and sneak up on someone and scare them, and they go, ah! And next thing you know, about 5 minutes later, someone even walked by them, and they go, hey, they jump again. But they wouldn't have jumped for that person, they would have jumped for you. Fright houses, all those sort of things, the first thing to jump out of the dark and grab you. Now you're way up here. After that, just takes a puff of air, and you go right back up there again. So here's the biggest issue here. Your dog is decaying downward, trying to come back down to that baseline. But if another person comes along, and another person comes along right behind them, if the frequency of the events are too close, your dog will never have an opportunity to get down far enough down its baseline. So suddenly what happens is your dog lunges again, and when the dog lunges again, you fire off that same level on that remote collar, that level 50, or you get that same level 3 correction to your dog. But here's what's happened. Those things feel different now. They do. That level 50 now all of a sudden feels like level 70 because I never made it back down to my calm zone. And that level 3 feels like a level 6. And those, due to the frequency of the oncoming provocative stimuli, and you're correcting, and you're going, well, level 50 works because it worked a while ago. It's got to work. Level 50's got to work. Well, it doesn't work, so you just keep turning it up. And you drive your dog further and further and further and further up until suddenly it gets here. And when it's there, that panic reactive land, your dog now has what's called self-analgesia. It no longer has enhanced cognition. It's not paying any attention to you whatsoever. It doesn't hear you. It won't respond to you. Procedural memory has now taken over and checked you out. It won't feel a darn thing. You could jack that remote collar all the way up to 100 and you're not going to get zilch. You can sit there and yank until your arms fall off and you're not going to get zilch. You sent your dog to a very bad place in which what will happen is it will develop a molecular memory of this event. Meaning, it wasn't even a conscious memory. That thing will get parked in the domain of the amygdala and it'll camp out there for the rest of your dog's life. So when you start getting near this panic reactive zone, safety signal hypothesis has lost its value. Because the animal can no longer control what's happening. Its body and mind has taken over. The dog has even been checked out. It's operating on autopilot. It's the same thing. People get in a tragic accident or in a tragic or really dangerous firefight in the military. And you can't remember the accident the next day. People are asking you, man, I can't believe what you did during that firefight, dude. You're crazy. And you're going, what did I do? Yeah, you're checked out. Brain's still there. It's operating, but say, Bryan, you did a really good job at this point right here. But seeing how you got this thing right here, okay, I think I don't need you overthinking this thing. I don't need you making mistakes, stalling here. I'm going to rely instead upon everything that you have, all your experiences, all your skill sets, all your knowledge, every bit of strength and power that you have. Lean on me for just a moment here. Let me see if I can get us out of this situation. And by golly, if I can, don't think for a second I'll ever forget what it was that got us out of this. So guys, safety signal hypothesis is where you give a threat cue. The animal recognizes the threat cue for what it means. Responds. And because it responds, it's able to avoid the actual threat itself, the actual correction. And because it does so, it gets a reward instead, and it settles into this nice calm zone called the safety land. Until I hear the threat cue again, I can relax. However, I won't hear the threat cue. I won't relax. If you drive me further and further and further up that column, I will reach a land in which no dog owner and no dog owner ever wants to be there themselves. It's a place in which dogs suddenly are immune to our input. And that just frustrates us, causes angst, confusion. We start turning up more and more and more. It doesn't work. It's not going to work. It doesn't stand a chance. But all this is being remembered by your dog and can create situations. So this is really one of the only situations in which I know that safety signal hypothesis will fail you. When it comes to reactive dogs, and again, when you're dealing with reactive dogs who've lived on the planet long enough, you're dealing typically with either some sort of PTSD event, you're just dealing with a mental issue. You're not dealing with a normal dog who never went through any sort of inhumane treatment or has really good genetics. I was born a producer. I can handle this stuff. I'm not a real low-ranking scrounger. But it is what it is. You got what you have. You know, it's like the old saying, you get what you get and you don't pitch a fit. You got it. Here's my biggest takeaway from today. If you own a reactive dog, mostly if it's responding aggressively, then you do need to deactivate this behavior. And if you do so, and the next event doesn't come along for a while, meaning long enough, whatever it takes for your dog to decay to the calm zone. And that being said, that can just be a few minutes for some dogs. It depends upon many factors, genetic baseline, prior reinforcement, your signal, so on and so forth. But if the next event does not come along until your dog settles back into the calm zone, then you're clear to disrupt at that same level again, because it does work. Just be very aware of the timing of things. The timing. If you're out there on that walk, oh my gosh, everyone decided to go for a walk today. Maybe a good time with that dog to simply remove them from that situation. So many times we get into that, oh, this is going to be great, man. Look at all these people out here. Woo-hoo, baby. By the time I get past that 40th person down there, my dog will be well behaved from 41 on. Chances are it won't. Come number 3, it's probably game over for you and your dog. Be aware of that. And what's the first indication that you're going to get is when the level that worked to disrupt for stimulus number 1, stimulus number 2, or person 1 or person 2, suddenly doesn't. The second you recognize that, and you go, dang, I need to turn this thing up, you need to get out of that situation. Hear me? Get out of it. Pick another day, another time. Get out of it. And wait till you feel your dog come back down to that calm zone. You'll know that. The dog will then eat. Most dogs don't eat. They don't want to treat when they're way up there. Now, not only is the hallmark of the stress response is the quick mobilization of energy to stoke those muscles to get you out of that situation, but some of the other symptoms of it, or byproducts of it, is the very quick and rapid inhibition of energy storage. Not a handy time to be digesting grass if you're being chased by a lion. No, we'll just wait for that later. Not a handy time to take a mouthful of grass either. So a lot of things like that get put on hold until you get through the moment. You know your dog, feel your dog, take a guess. You know, sometimes you just have to, and just go out there and go for it. But this is when the safety signal hypothesis, unfortunately, will not work. Keep applying it, though. It's only fair. Give the threat signal. Here it comes, threat cue, baby. If you don't do this, I got my thumb right there on the button, and I got my hands right here on the leash. Give the dog the opportunity to go, oh, I know what that means. Oh, I'm a good dog. Look at me. And you go, oh, you're so good. You're so good. You just get down there and give a good old pet there and give that treat. And man, you both learn from it. But when you've corrected, and it doesn't work, and you're finding yourself climbing, higher, you need to get out of that situation. Your dog has now been driven to a land that, trust me, when I do my pharmacotherapy Facebook Live series, you never want to be there. And neither does your dog. And because the dog is being dragged around on a leash somewhere, they just don't have a whole lot of control about being subjected to the thing that will drive them up there. You have all the control in the world. So watch this video again. Please share it with someone who might have a reactive dog and who might be using training methods to deactivate, because that is a wonderful thing. You cannot let the dog continue to get reinforcement because they go rah, 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 and those people keep going that way because they were head that way anyway. And the dog goes, yeah, that worked like a champ. I have to remember that. And it builds and builds and builds. So yes, you do have to deactivate, but you only get a couple chances to do so, and that's it. And then it's done. You got to get out of the situation. Come back at it tomorrow, the next day, whatever. You've got to slow. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. I was talking to Joshua and Jay before I did this video, and I go, I hope this makes sense. It makes sense in my brain, but my job is to make sure it makes sense in your brain. So if you have any questions afterwards, I'm going to get on. I've carved out some time today in my busy schedule to make sure I can address some comments on yesterday's Facebook Live and on today's Facebook Live. If I have to shoot another video, I'll do it. Just make sure you guys get it, because it means a lot. You have to do this. Okay, so good. I hope you got it. All right, guys, I'm out of here. I do have things to do, so I can carve out some time for this afternoon to be able to respond to you guys. Hang in there. Keep doing that great training. And I don't know if my microphones worked or not. Just make sure I talked really loud. Hopefully you heard me. And hopefully one day these things get to working again when I do this live streaming. Before the end of it, anyway. Okay, I'm out of here. See you guys. Enjoy your day.